All the people who anointed Absalom over them were in a dispute throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, "The king saved us from the hand of our enemies, he delivered us from the hand of the Philistines, and now he has fled from the land because of Absalom. However, Absalom, whom we anointed over us, has died in battle. Now why do you say nothing about bringing back the king?" King David sent to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, saying, "Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house, since the words of all Israel have come to the king, to his very house? You are my brethren, you are my bone and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? Also say to Amasa, Are you not my bone and my flesh? God do so to me and more also, if you are not commander of the army before me continually in place of Joab." Therefore, he swayed the hearts of all the men of Judah, just as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word to the king, "Return, you and all your servants." Then King David returned and came to the Jordan. All the people of Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to escort the king across the Jordan. Shimei, who cursed David, hurried and came down with the men of Judah to meet David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him, and they went over the Jordan River before the king. Then a ferry boat went across to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. Shimei fell down before the king when he had crossed the Jordan. He said to David, "Do not let my lord impute iniquity to me, or remember what wrong your servant did on the day that my lord the king left Jerusalem, that the king should take it to heart. I, your servant, know that I have sinned. So here I am, the first to come today of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king." However, Abishai answered and said, "Should not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed?" David said, "What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should be adversaries to me today? Will any man be put to death today in Israel? Do I not know that today I am king over Israel?" Then the king said to Shimei, "You will not die." And the king swore to him. Also Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, came down to meet David. He had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he returned in peace. So it was, when he had come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that David said to him, "Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth?" He answered, "My lord, O king, my servant Ziba deceived me." Ziba said, "I will saddle a donkey for myself, that I may ride on it and go to the king, because my servant is lame. And he has slandered me to my lord the king, but my lord the king is like the angel of God. So do what is good in your eyes. For all my father's house was but dead men before my lord the king. Yet you set your servant among those who eat at your own table. So what right have I still to cry out any more to the king?" King David said to him, "Why do you speak any more of your matters? I have said, you and Ziba divide the land." Then Mephibosheth said to David, "Rather, let him take it all, inasmuch as my lord the king has come back in peace to his own house." Mephibosheth was more concerned with David being home than having half of the land with Ziba. He neglected his own body in a way to mourn the absence of David. Barzillai, the Gileadite, who had provided David and his army with provisions and supplies while they stayed at Mahanaim, after they had fled from Absalom, came down from Rajlim to escort David across the Jordan River. He was a very rich and aged man of 80 years old. David asked Barzillai to cross the Jordan with him, and he promised to provide him while he was with him in Jerusalem. However, Barzillai declined for the reason he was too old and would rather die in his own city. For Barzillai said, "How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am today 80 years old. Can I discern between the good and bad? Can I hear any longer the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be a further burden to my lord the king? Your servant will go a little way across the Jordan with the king. And why should the king repay me with such a reward? Please let your servant turn back again, that I may die in my own city near the grave of my father and mother." Barzillai suggested that his son Chimham, David's servant, cross over with him. David promised Barzillai that whatever Chimham requested, he would do for him. David kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and Barzillai returned to his own place. Later, David instructed his son Solomon to show kindness to the sons of Barzillai by allowing them to be among those who eat at his table because they came to him when he fled from Absalom. The king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him. All the people of Judah escorted the king and half the people of Israel. Then all the men of Israel came to the king, and they wanted to know why their brethren the men of Judah stolen him away and brought him and his household, and all his men with him across the Jordan. Therefore, Israel and Judah quarreled about who was responsible for bringing David back from exile. Judah had escorted David and his men across the Jordan, and Israel was angry because all of Judah had a greater part in bringing the king back home when there was only half of Israel that escorted the king home. Israel claims that they had 10 shares, 10 tribes, in the king, therefore, they had more right to David than Judah did. Israel asked the tribe of Judah, "Why then do you despise us? Were we not the first to advise bringing back our king?" Yet the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. This strife between the 12 tribes of Israel would be one of the reasons the nation of Israel will be divided. The nation of Israel would divide after the death of David and Bathsheba's son, Solomon, who would become the next king. Israel would split into Judah, with 2 tribes, and Israel will have 10 tribes. Judah and Benjamin would be the southern tribe of Judah, and the tribes of Israel would be the northern 10 tribes of Israel. There happened to be a rebel named Sheba, a Benjamite who blew a trumpet to give a military signal, and said, "We have no share in David, nor do we have an inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." Then every man of Israel deserted David, and followed Sheba. But the men of Judah from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem remained loyal to their king. David came to his house in Jerusalem. He took the 10 women, his concubines whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in seclusion and supported them, but did not go into them. They were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. The king said to Amasa, "Assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself." Therefore, Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest he find for himself fortified cities, and escape us." Meanwhile, Joab's men, with the Cherethites, the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, went out after him. And they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba. When they were at the large stone, which is in Gibeon, Amasa came before them. Now Joab was dressed in battle armor, and on it was a belt with a sword fastened in its sheath at his hips, and as he was going forward, it fell out. Then Joab said to Amasa, "Are you in health, my brother?" Then Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. Yet, Amasa did not notice the sword that was in Joab's hand. Joab struck him with it in the stomach, and his entrails poured out on the ground, and he did not strike him again. There Amasa died. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued Sheba the son of Bichri. The only reason I can think of for Joab wanting to kill his cousin Amasa, is that David had forgiven Amasa, and appointed him commander of his army in place of him. This could be that David had found out that Joab had killed his son Absalom. The delay in carrying out David's order to assemble the men of Judah within 3 days to gather forces against Sheba's rebellion, probably suggested to David that Amasa would have joined Sheba's revolt as he joined the revolt of Absalom. Sheba's revolt would have been a more dangerous revolt because of the animosity that had been boiling between Israel and Judah. I therefore suspect that David did not want Amasa killed. David would later give his son Solomon instructions concerning Joab. On the close of David's life on earth, he instructed Solomon saying, "You know what Joab did to me, and what he did to the 2 commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner and Amasa, whom he killed. He also shed the blood of war in peacetime, and put the blood of war on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were on his feet. Therefore, do according to your wisdom, and do not let his gray hair go down to the grave in peace. Meanwhile, one of Job's men stood near Amasa and said, Whoever favors Job and whoever is for David follow Job. Amasa is left wallowing in his blood in the middle of the highway. When the man saw that all the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the highway to the field and threw a garment over him when he saw that everyone who came upon him halted. When Amasa was removed from the highway, all the people went on after Job to pursue Sheba. Job went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel and Beth-maachah and all the Berites. They all gathered and went after Sheba. They found him and besieged him in Abel of Beth-maachah, and they cast up a siege mound against the city and it stood by the rampart. All the people who were with Job battered the wall to throw it down. Then a wise woman cried out from the city, Hear, hear. Please say to Job, Come nearby that I may speak with you. When he had come near to her, the woman said, Are you Job? He answered, I am. Then she said to him, Hear the words of your maidservant. He answered, I am listening. Then she spoke saying, They used to talk in former times saying, They will surely seek guidance at Abel, and so they would end disputes. I am among the peaceable and faithful in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? Job answered and said, Far be it from me, that I should swallow up or destroy. That is not so. But a man from the mountains of Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bichri by name, has raised his hand against the king, against David. Deliver him only and I will depart from the city. So the woman said to Job, Watch, his head will be thrown to you over the wall. Then the woman in her wisdom went to all the people, they cut off the head of Sheba, and threw it out to Job. Then Job blew a trumpet and they withdrew from the city, every man to his tent. Meanwhile, Job returned to the king at Jerusalem. Job was over all the army of Israel. Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites. Adoram was in charge of revenue. Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was a recorder. Sheva was scribe and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira the Jerite was a chief minister under David. These were David's government officers. To lead the people to repentance, the Lord caused a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year, and David inquired of the Lord concerning this. Then the Lord answered, It is because of Saul and his bloodthirsty house because he killed the Gibeonites. So King David called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. The Gibeonites were Canaanites living near the site of present-day Eljib, about 6 miles northwest of Jerusalem. They were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and the children of Israel had sworn to protect them, but Saul had sought to kill them in his zeal for the children of Israel and Judah. Saul sought to exterminate the foreign race from the land of Israel. David said to the Gibeonites, What should I do for you? And with what should I make atonement that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord? And the Gibeonites said to him, We will have no silver or gold from Saul or from his house, nor will you kill any man in Israel for us. David said, Whatever you say, I will do for you. Then they answered the king, As for the man who consumed us and plotted against us, that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the territories of Israel, let 7 men of his descendants be delivered to us, and we will hang them before the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord chose. The king said, I will give them. David spared Mephibosheth the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between David and Jonathan. But David took Armoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Rizpah, Saul's concubine, whom she bore to Saul, and the 5 sons of Michal the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai the Meholathite, and he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and the Gibeonites hanged them on the hill before the Lord. So all 7 together were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first day, in the beginning of barley harvest. Rizpah the daughter of Aiah took sackcloth and spread it for herself on the rock, from the beginning of harvest until the late rains poured on them from heaven. And she did not allow the birds of the air to rest on them by day nor the beasts of the field by night. David was told what Rizpah, the concubine of Saul, had done. Then he went and took the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jonathan his son, from the men of Jabesh Gilead who had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hung them up, after the Philistines had struck down Saul in Gilboa. Therefore, he brought up the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from there, and they gathered the bones of those who had been hanged. They buried the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son in the country of Benjamin in Zelah, in the tomb of Kish his father. So they performed all that the king commanded. After that God heeded the prayer for the land. Divine justice was served. The Philistines were at war again with Israel. David and his servants with him went down and fought against them, and he grew faint. Then Ishbi-Benob, who was one of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose bronze spear was 300 shekels, who was bearing a new sword, thought he could kill David. But Abishai, Joab's brother, came to his aid, and struck the Philistine and killed him. Then the men of David swore to him, saying, "You will go out no more with us to battle, lest you quench the lamp of Israel." Now it happened afterward that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbechai the Hushathite, one of David's mighty men, killed Siph, who was one of the sons of the giant. Again, there was war at Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanan the son of Jareoregim the Bethlehemite killed the brother of Goliath the Gittite, the shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. Yet again, there was war at Gath, where there was a man of great stature who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number, and he was born to the giant. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan, the son of Shimeah, David's brother, killed him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and they fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. Then David spoke to the Lord the words of a song, on the day when the Lord had delivered him from the hand of all his enemies, and from the hand of Saul. Now these are the last words of David. Thus says David the son of Jesse, thus says the man raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel, the Spirit of the Lord spoke by me, and his word was on my tongue. The God of Israel said, the Rock of Israel spoke to me, he who rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God, and he will be as the light of the morning when the sun rises. A morning without clouds is like the tender grass springing out of the earth, by clear shining after rain. Although my house is not so with God, yet he made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things and secured. For this is all my salvation and all my desire, and will he not make it increase? But the sons of rebellion will all be as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man who touches them must be armed with iron and shaft of a spear, and they will be utterly burned with fire in their place. These are the names of the mighty men whom David had, who strengthened themselves with him in his kingdom with all Israel to make him king according to the word of the Lord concerning Israel. Jashobim, also called Joshab-Basehebeth, the Tachmonite, was the chief among the captains. He was called Adno the Eznite, because he had lifted up his spear against 300 men and killed them at one time. Eleazar the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of the 3 mighty men with David when they defied the Philistines who were gathered there for battle, and the men of Israel had retreated. Eleazar arose and attacked the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand stuck to the sword. The Lord brought about a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to plunder. Shammah the son of Agi was a Hararite. The Philistines had gathered into a troop where there was a piece of ground full of lentils. Therefore, the people fled from the Philistines, but Shammah stationed himself in the middle of the field, defended it, and killed the Philistines. The Lord brought about a great victory. 3 of the 30 chief men went down at harvest time and came to David at the cave of Adullam, and the army of the Philistines encamped in the valley of Rephaim. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. David then said with longing, "Oh, that someone would give me a drink of water from the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." Therefore, the 3 mighty men broke through the camp of the Philistines, drew water from the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink it, but poured it out to the Lord. He said, Far be it from me, O my God, that I should do this. Should I drink the blood of these men who have put their lives in jeopardy? Therefore, David would not drink the water. The mighty warriors were Asahel the brother of Joab, who was one of the 30. Elhanan the son of Dodo of Bethlehem. Shammah the Harodite. Elika the Paltite. Ira the son of Ikish the Tekoite. Abiezer the Anathothite. Mabuneh the Hushathite. Zalman the Ahohite. Maharai the Netophathite. Heleb the son of Bana, the Netophathite. Ittai the son of Ribai from Gibeah of the children of Benjamin. Benaiah a Pirathonite. Hiddai from the brooks of Gosh. Abi-Alban the Barhumite. Azmaveth the Barhumite. Eliabah the Shulbanite, of the sons of Jashan. Jonathan Shammah the Hararite. Ahim the son of Sharar the Hararite. Elipheled, son of Ahasbai the son of the Machathite. Eliam the son of Ahithophel the Jalonite. Hezrai the Carmelite. Parai the Arbit. Egal the son of Nathan of Zebah. Bani the Gadite. Zelek the Ammonite. Naharai the Beerothite, armor-bearer of Joab the son of Zeruiah. Ira the Ithrite. Garb the Ithrite and Uriah the Hittite, 37 in all. Zabad the son of Elai, Adinah the son of Shiza the Reubenite, a chief of the Reubenites, and 30 with him, Hanan the son of Macha, Joshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Ashtrathite, Shammah and Jeiel the sons of Hotham the Aroerite, Jediel the son of Shimri, and Joha his brother, the Tizite, Eliel the Moabite, Jerubai and Joshaviah the sons of Elnam, Ithma the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jasiel the Mizabite, 37 in all. Now Satan stood up against Israel, and moved David to number Israel. So David said to Joab and to the leaders of the people, Go, number Israel from Beersheba to Can, and bring the number of them to me that I may know it. Joab said to the king, Now may the Lord your God add to the people 100 times more than there are, and may the eyes of my lord the king see it. But why does my lord the king desire this thing? Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the army. Then Joab gave the sum of the number of the people to David. All Israel had 1,100,000 men who drew the sword, and Judah had 470,000 men who drew the sword. However, he did not count Levi and Benjamin among them, for the king's word was abominable to Joab. Moreover, God was displeased with this thing. David's heart condemned him after he had numbered the people. So David said to the Lord, I have sinned greatly, because I have done this thing, but now, I pray, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done very foolishly. Now when David arose in the morning, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Gad. Then the Lord spoke to Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and tell David, saying, Thus says the Lord, I offer you 3 things, choose one of them for yourself, that I may do it to you. So Gad came to David and said to him, Thus says the Lord, choose for yourself either 3 years of famine, or 3 months to be defeated by your foes with the sword of your enemies overtaking you, or else for 3 days the sword of the Lord the plague in the land, with the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the territory of Israel. Now consider what answer I should take back to him who sent me. David said to Gad, I am in great distress. Please let me fall into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are very great, but do not let me fall into the hand of man. Therefore, the Lord sent a plague upon Israel, from the morning until the appointed time, from Dan to Beersheba, and 70,000 men of Israel fell. Then God sent an angel to Jerusalem to destroy it. As he was destroying, the Lord looked and relented of the disaster, and said to the angel who was destroying, It is enough, now restrain your hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan, Araunah, the Jebusite. Then David lifted his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord standing between earth and heaven, having in his hand a drawn sword stretched out over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell on their faces, and David said to God, "Was it not I who commanded the people to be numbered? I am the one who has sinned and done evil, indeed, but these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray, O Lord my God, be against me and my father's house, but not against your people, that they should be plagued." Then Joab and the captains of the army went out from the presence of the king to count the people of Israel. They crossed over the Jordan and camped in Aroer, on the right side of the town, which is in the midst of the ravine of Gad, and toward Jazer. Then they came to Gilead and to the land of Tahtim-Hodshi, they came to Danjon and around to Sidon, and they came to the stronghold of Tyre and to all the cities of the Hivites and the Canaanites. Then they went out to South Judah as far as Beersheba, so when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Then Joab gave the sum of the number of the people to the king. In addition, there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men who drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. Gad came that day to David and said to him, "Go up, erect an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite." Therefore, David, according to the word of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. Now Araunah looked, and saw the king and his servants coming toward him. Then Araunah went out and bowed before the king with his face to the ground. Then Araunah said, "Why has my lord the king come to his servant?" David said, "To buy the threshing floor from you, to build an altar to the Lord, that the plague may be withdrawn from the people." Araunah said to David, "Let my lord the king take and offer up whatever seems good to him. Look, here are oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing implements, and the yokes of the oxen for wood, and the wheat for the grain offering, I give it all. All these, O king, Araunah has given to the king." And Araunah said to the king, "May the Lord your God accept you." Then the king said to Araunah, "No, but I will surely buy it from you for a price, nor will I offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God with that which costs me nothing." So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver and 600 shekels of gold by weight for the place. Then David built there an altar to the Lord, offered burnt offerings, and peace offerings, and called on the Lord, and he answered him from heaven by fire on the altar of burnt offering. Therefore, the Lord heeded the prayers for the land, and the plague was withdrawn from Israel. At that time, when David saw that the Lord had answered him on the threshing floor of Ornan, Araunah, the Jebusite, he sacrificed there. The tabernacle of the Lord and the altar of the burnt offering, which Moses had made in the wilderness, were at that time at the high place in Gibeon. However, David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid of the sword of the angel of the Lord. Thank you for listening. If you have been blessed by this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.